Before we get started with my good friend Gary and my good friend Kevin,
Hola.
um, let's tell you guys how to get a hold of us first and foremost. Obviously, you could call into the show and be a part of this show live at 385-218-6926, or you can text Eric. I know he has it down by heart at this point.
I'm pretty sure we're one of the speed dials.
Yeah. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We live stream to all those places. And if you just want to listen to the audio at work because your job sucks and you need something entertaining, you can do that on iTunes or Google Play. We're everywhere. Basically, podcasts are found. You can find us. So subscribe, like us, give us a 5-star rating, help us move up the charts. Outside of that, Gary, Kevin, how you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Living the dream, homie.
Gary was late today. He tried to Gary it up. I think he's trying to take the Axeman's role of not being on time, but we can accept that for right now. I'm still adjusting to this borrowed. It's not new because it's not mine. This new borrowed mixer, which is it's phenomenal if you want to run like a Metallica concert, but for a podcast, it's a little much. So I have a whole lot of buttons that I know they all do shit, and I'm just waiting for me to hit the wrong one and really just mess everything up. We'll see how it goes. So I think first off today, I really want to just, again, Gary, I know you listened to the show Wednesday with Eric and his friend Chris, and Chris was actually a really cool guy. He lives in Georgia, and he came on, and he's part of the End Zone podcast with Eric, and those guys are good guys. I like Chris, mostly because I think he agrees with me a lot, and I love it when people agree with me, so I can deal with that. But no, I wanted to start off today, again, just shouting out to Joe Thomas. So I think that even though you, Kevin, are unfortunately a diehard Steelers fan, you can at least appreciate, outside, I know you whined about him holding the last 2 years, but one of the best left tackles possibly ever play the game. Decided to hang it up Wednesday, and I guess the team's known for a bit, so he didn't just like string the team along, which I appreciated. But a hell of a career, nonetheless. And yeah, so that's just wanted to give a shout out. Do you guys hear that they're going to put his 10-3-6-3 up on the ring in Cleveland Brown Stadium?
It's deserved.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for him to play that many snaps straight in Cleveland, okay, I'm not taking a shot at them, but for all those years where that last game, well, the last half of the season didn't matter. And, I mean, for him to still go out there every snap, even when games were blowouts, not even to come out, I mean, that takes a lot.
Yeah, it also goes to, I don't want people to think that the triceps injury is what, ended the dude's career, because it wasn't. His body had just been beaten up because he'd just done 10,300 and some odd consecutive snaps, and he fought through injuries. He was out there doing his patented kick step with a knee injury. The dude was an Iron Man, and it was time for him to move on with the next part of his career. And I think we all know he's got that successful Tomahawk podcast with his buddy Andrew Hawkins. So, it's time for him to take that next step. And although I'm sad as a Browns fan, I'm happy that we've had a guy like Joe every year that we can get excited about.
Yeah, I need to listen to the latest Tomahawk podcast, and I highly recommend, if you're not listening to that show and you enjoy a podcast, it is a fun little like half hour to an hour, depending on if it's one of their emergency ones. But I highly recommend going out and listening to that. Because I want to hear what Richard Sherman's got to say, who I think we'll get into this later, but I think that guy's hilarious how he went to San Francisco purely out of vengeance.
You had to know he was going there.
No, well, I hoped. I think it was a great move on his part, but
he went full Joe Hayden.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, it was like Hayden going to Pittsburgh. He was either going to Pittsburgh or Baltimore.
Yeah. So we'll get into that a little later. Just a little more on Joe. I just think, for me, Joe's one of the players, this is where I know I'm getting old, because he's one of the guys, I literally got to watch his, okay, not because, guys have 1 or 2 year careers. I'm talking about, one of, the mainstays of a league, right? One of these, we all know he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. who I got to see literally from draft day to retirement. And I knew that guy was born and bred to be a Brown when he was fishing at the draft. And I heard him tell stories about how, like, they were kind of upset with him because he wouldn't come to the draft.
Kind of did, with them following him and his dad fishing. Like, leave it to ESPN. The guy wants to spend the day with his dad, and you have another boat following behind you on whatever lake they were fishing on. It's like, you were drafted third by the Browns, and he just looks back, gives a little thumbs up, and they just keep driving.
Dude, what was cool is he put it in the paper that, the moment that he got the phone call from the Browns that he had been drafted by him, he had just caught a brown trout out of the water. He said in that moment, he doesn't think about things like that in the moment, but looking back on it now, he's like, it had to have been a sign. I caught a brown trout, and then I spent my entire 10-year career with one team, the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And even it sounds like he's going to be, they offered him a job, whatever it is with the organization. So, I mean, he's still going to be a Brown.
Yeah,
he's not, out there on the field.
Yeah, it sounds like that, the one good ownership thing that Jim has done since taking over the team, I guess he made it very clear to Joe that he wants Joe to be a part of the franchise, basically, for as long as Joe wants to be a part of the franchise. And it sounds like also, he said not this year, but it sounds like Joe also has some interest in coaching. I think a guy, just from personality alone, like, I've watched a lot of his, like, he used to do this, like, weekly YouTube show because he got bored, basically, is what he would say. And it was just the most random crap you'd ever see. And I just think that guy's meant to be on television somewhere, and I would love to see. I think he needs to call the Browns games personally. I think he needs to be in that booth.
Every major, TV, ESPN, NFL Network, they're all reaching out to him. They all want him.
Well, you can't blame him. The guy's got a ton of charisma.
He's got a huge following, even outside of being a Brown. He has a huge following. Yeah. I mean, I think they're now the top-rated podcast in their segment right now.
Yeah, they are. I seen he posted that on Twitter the other day.
And they've done, what, like 4 episodes?
Yeah, I think they're only like 5 deep. But it's really fun because it's laid back. It's not too serious, and they do kind of cover.
No, it's not serious.
And the thing is, kind of, they find a lighthearted, I guess, way, or like a not super like serious, hardcore way of following things like, signings, or like his retirement even was kind of a chill show. If you guys listen to that one, it was just kind of a chill. It's just the way they handle it. Like, they make it fun to listen to, and their little banter between them. And whoever the hell this NFD dude is, I don't even know who he is.
I was going to ask you.
He's a stats whiz.
He's what?
He's a stats whiz. I know that. Well, I mean, he's good with Google anyway.
Because I was wondering, because they kept making comments about, it was a couple episodes ago, about him taking Joe's spot or something, or the Browns getting him. And I'm like, who the fuck is NFD? I was like, I have no idea who he is. I was going to ask you guys because I was like, I don't know.
He's the best kept secret in podcasts right now.
That's my goal then for the week, is to track down who is NFD, to get
him on the show.
Here's the thing. I know it's never. I would love to get NFD. I'd love to get anybody like that on the show, but I literally am either going to get blocked by Joe, or he's finally going to come on, because I literally, every tweet I tweet him at least once a day, saying, "Hey, can you come?" Well, it's once a day I do this. I tweet him and say, "Hey, can I literally have just 5 minutes of your time? I don't care if it's 1 o'clock in the morning and the most random day ever. I just want 5 minutes, would totally make, this diehard Browns fan's day." And then anytime I retweet him, I'm like, "Oh, you should come on Pierce of Mind." And so he's either going to block me or come on. I'm hoping that it's the
there's always the third option, not block you and continue to ignore you,
which is still great, because it was NFD did retweet me once, so I feel like I've got, just, to me that's like having a little like my toe in the door.
You're a blip on the radar. You're a blip, and that's not bad.
And that's all it takes, right? It's like getting a new job. Sometimes you just got to get your foot in, just a little piece of that foot in the door, and then you can slam that sumbitch open and take the place over.
Hey, 3 weeks ago, all I was doing was calling into the show, and now I'm here every Friday.
Yeah, until the Axeman gets a little crazy, yeah. And we're glad to have you. And it's worked out pretty well, I think, with having the three of us. I think it's made for a pretty good show.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin, he kind of texts me weird things like, "I'm going to swing it, Matt. I'm going to swing it. The axe is coming." And I'm like, "Kevin, what? It's a good show."
Hey, you say that, and you're gonna take it as a big joke. I'm gonna go buy not a real axe, but some kind of axe, and I'll be just hanging in the back there.
Hey Kevin,
Just for you.
what was tell Gary what the who I addressed your mic to?
Oh, it was Kevin the Axeman Tenney.
Yes. Yes.
Miranda she texted me. Yeah, she either texted me or called me, whatever it was. I was at work, but I was talking to her, and she's like, "You got a package that was addressed to Kevin the Axeman." I was like, "That's from Matt."
Perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah, I have entirely too much time on my hands, especially now it's spring break. I guess if I was going to wreck my truck, I did pick the best time to do it because we do need 2 cars. And since it ended up being pretty nice to wreck it when I did, because then hopefully I'll have it back just right a little bit after school.
So listen, I'm not trying to give up all of your past or anything, Pierce, but did you pull a classic Pierce in this situation and fall asleep at the wheel?
No, I didn't. That's the thing. Here's the thing.
You're talking about the Craft Made one, aren't you?
Oh yeah. When I was
man.
in Utah waiting for this dude, and he's just rolling vehicles down the highway.
Yeah, he was.
No, here's the deal. Hey, that was a shitty day because that was my home. I rolled my home.
I know.
I'm still laughing about it.
I just had to sit in the hospital and wait for him for like 2 hours, 3 hours, because he's like, "Yeah, they're releasing me. Can you pick me up?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I get there and they're like, "They're not releasing me yet." And I'm just like, "Seriously?"
Well, I just
And
went.
Miranda went with me, so she's in the car doing her homework because she was in college at the time. And I'm just like, so I had to wait for him to pick him up there. I had to wait for him the one time I picked him up at the police station. I had to pick you up. I had to take you to the police station for your court date the one time.
I wasn't sure
That
we were
was
going to leave.
hilarious because there was funniest story. We get there and we park, and Matt's like, "Don't worry, we're not going to be long," because it was like a 45-minute or hour time limit or something like that.
Yeah.
Those are Pierce's famous last words, by the way.
Yeah. So we park there and we get there. We're the first ones in the courtroom. Everybody's done. The judge is getting ready to get up to leave, and Matt's like, "Excuse me, sir." He's like, "I think you missed me." Here he grabbed 2 folders, and Matt's was on the bottom, and he slid it down on the done pile. We waited for everybody. So as soon as we get out of there, Matt's got another ticket on his car because we were over the time limit.
Yeah, at least I got a friend like Kevin that will show up for these things. Hey, that's not as bad as she gonna getting tickets while at court. One time I was on my way, so there was like between 16 and 18. I just felt like I could hit everything that wasn't like anywhere near me. I was hitting it, and I had gotten in this accident. I was on my way to court like a week later to go to court for that ticket for that accident, and I rear-ended somebody in front of the courthouse. So I didn't even make it to handle the first ticket, and I was already getting another ticket.
You know, and people wondered why I was a little leery when Matt was like, "Hey, I'm going to get a motorcycle." Like, oh, is that really the best decision for you?
But I've been good. So this was the first accident I've had in like 18 years.
A while.
18 plus years. Well, I guess I did I guess I forgot about rolling the truck.
Yeah, let's say that hasn't been no 18.
So I don't count that one because that was medically induced. Because that's when I found out I had chronic sleep apnea. So.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll say that was like, yeah, it was still an accident, but I completely forgot about it until you brought it up. But yeah, it's been a long. So that was the last one I had. Though was that one, was rolling my home, and rolling my home. Yeah. So like I was doing pretty good, and I was driving fine. I was heading to class, and here's what sucks: is this is a class I usually skip because it's. This Wednesday class is by my least favorite professor who doesn't teach at all. He's like a fucking adult babysitter. He doesn't actually do anything. He's just an adjunct, so he just...
Thanks for watching the show, Professor.
Yeah, basically. And then so Wednesdays are our lab day, so we just go in and work on our lab projects and ask questions, which I don't bother doing because he just tells me to go to Google anyways. So early on, I decided I wasn't really going to attend this class unless I had to, or I needed help that I couldn't find on Google. And it happened to be we're having a midterm the Monday after spring break's over. So I had to go to figure out what we were covering just so I could be prepared for the midterm. And lo and behold, I'm driving down. It was raining like a mother. And I'm driving down the road. I'm driving, Gary, 215. I'm driving down 215.
Yeah.
And that's it, out of nowhere. And even the guy who I hit is like, we were all going like 50 miles an hour, so we were going like 20 under the speed limit. The whole traffic, everyone was going like safely. And so out of nowhere, I started going, oh, look, I'm sliding. And then it just kind of went in slow motion from there. It's like, oh, shit. And then I'm like sliding. Then I hit this guy. And then like I was telling Kevin, like all things being said, it ended up being as good as it could be. But I literally came like a foot from hitting the barrier on 215. And had I done that, at least my car had been paid off. And that would have been like the positive. No more truck payment. I still only have one car, but no more truck payment. Do you want to send a shout out to Jason DeForest, listening to us on Facebook or watching us on Facebook? No, Gary is not that ugly, Jason. Don't be mean.
No, I really am.
This is a friendly show. I know he looks.
Jason, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at Facebook tonight, buddy. Big shout out.
He looks old. I get it, but don't judge him. Anyways, so that's
he wishes
that.
He had this beard game.
I'm not dead. My truck comes back in a couple of weeks, and Joe Thomas broke my heart, but I knew he had to go sooner than later.
I would have just loved one more. Honestly, I would be less upset if he did this time next year.
Yeah, but
I understand it.
Like you heard the podcast, right? He said his body just couldn't do it.
Yeah, and I get it.
And so I'd rather him go out going, yeah, the injury sucked and it cost him half a year, but he's going out without, like, no disrespect here, but Shazier, who's trying to come back like a fool. I think, Gary, you agree with this.
No, and I think even Kevin agrees. Focus on walking first. Football can be later.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's good that he got to walk out, and he's already going to pay for it. We all know, probably for the rest of his life, with the pain. So, I just hope that he feels better and enjoys his retirement. That being said, free agency was a freaking nut. Just craziness, guys.
There's a handful of teams. I mean, honestly, a pretty good handful of teams that flat out got better. And I don't want to just exclude the Browns because I'm sorry, they're winning the offseason, which apparently is the only thing that we're good at winning.
About to say, what that does for us, Gary?
Yeah, it does nothing. It gets us an undefeated preseason and no wins in the regular season, but. I think Chicago Bears definitely got better. Cutting Jordy Nelson, I don't agree with that, but signing Graham, I mean, wow.
Really? Because I think Graham I don't think that big of a deal. Like, I would almost rather have Jordy. I just think Graham's kind of on the downward spiral.
Well, go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, sorry. He was in Seattle, and he wasn't. The tight end is not the position you want to play in Seattle. They brought him in so they wouldn't make that stupid mistake throwing in the Super Bowl again. But I mean, they still would because that's why they brought him in. But they never threw to him. He never had a really good shot in Seattle. I mean, this year was probably his best year there, and it wasn't even really that great of a year.
Yeah. The thing of it is think about Aaron Rodgers. Jordy Nelson skews this a little bit, but think about Aaron Rodgers' really just best years running those offenses. He had Jermichael Finley, and Jimmy Graham, even at this point in his career, is Jermichael Finley. I mean, he is that caliber of a player still. So you're going to get that over the middle 15, 10-yard range all day long out of Jimmy Graham still.
But is it better to have him than Jordy Nelson, I guess, is another question you can ask.
Well, I feel like they made this move because they wanted to make it. I think Jordy Nelson might have been out either way because they're not going to be able to pay Devontae next year or Cobb. You're not going to be able to pay them both. Jordy was going to have to go anyway.
Yeah, maybe. But maybe next year he has to go. Where you're having the same conversation maybe. Where he's on the downward end. I just think here's the thing. I think he's already been signed, right? Jordy's already got a job, if I remember correctly.
He's a Raider, and now Crabtree's jobless.
Yeah, well, no. Crabtree signed with the Ravens today.
Oh, all right. Yeah, Ravens, way to go. Way to be the guys to go after the washed-up wide receivers. Champs.
But here's what pissed me off. It's that shitty team who I don't like saying their name. They did a dick move to Ryan Grant, failing him on his physical, and everyone's calling it bullshit because they wanted when Crabtree came available, they got hot for Crabtree and said, "Oh, your ankle's not good. We can't give you this deal."
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just hate the Ravens, but this is what they do. This is their MO. They go and grab a wide receiver, and I guess I can't talk a whole lot of smack because we did Dwayne Bowe and Kenny Britt ourselves, but this is what the Ravens do. They go get wide receivers that are probably 2 or 3 years past when they were really relevant in an offense. And, you know, Crabtree might not be quite there yet, but he's not what he was 2 seasons ago, and he's probably going to lose a step. And, I mean, Jeremy Maclin was the best thing they had going, and now he's out of there, right? If I remember correctly,
Yeah.
he didn't re-sign.
Well, they cut him.
Well, that was dumb.
And here's the thing: the one thing you can give them, as much as I hate to give these guys any credit, like guys like you look at Steve Smith Jr. Senior, they like wrinkled every last ounce of water out of that guy's abilities. Like,
Well, I think he's the exception to the rule than the actual rule in this particular case. But you're right; they got every. But I think that was more Steve Smith than it was the Ravens.
sure, no, I could totally understand that. I don't know. Like I see the Packers, and I don't think they did a great job in free agency. I get like if you just look at name value, sure. And then like the one big thing, like I think I got Eric all worked up over this week. I think
I know you did.
Cousins was a terrible move for Minnesota. I don't think Cousins getting paid is bad because I'm all about players getting their money. I love that he got a fully guaranteed contract because that's going to set the bar for these top end guys now, where they're going to be able to get fully guaranteed, which I think they deserve in this sport because they get their ass kicked.
I got an argument against that, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay, and I think a team. When I said a team, he should get this kind of money, it was from a team like Cleveland, New York. I hate to say it about the Browns, but a shitty team that needed to make a splash and get people back interested into them. Minnesota didn't need to do that. I think they pretty much swapped out even talent for what Keenum gave them last year. I don't think you get more wins out of it. I don't know. I think simply from the aspect of being the Minnesota Vikings, I think it was a poor plan and they overpaid him.
Well, so a couple points. First, I agree that it was not a good signing for the Minnesota Vikings, or at least I shouldn't say it like that. It wasn't a smart signing by the Minnesota Vikings because where I do agree with you, they're not – the difference between them and the NFC Championship game was not Case Keenum. It wasn't. So does Kirk Cousins make you that much better with the roster that you've got? I don't think so. Now, is Kirk Cousins a better quarterback than Case Keenum on paper? I'm going to say yes. Here's where Minnesota is going to screw themselves, in my opinion. It's not going to be this upcoming season. They're going to get as far as they did. I don't know, maybe they do make it to the Super Bowl this time, but I don't know that they're that much better that they get over the hump and beat New England Patriots. But where they are going to hurt themselves is next year, Trey Wayans has a contract due. They ain't going to be able to pay him. They've got Anthony Barr, contract due. They might be able to pay him, but they're going to sacrifice one of their top-end corners. They've got 2 or 3 different defenders that they're going to have to pay next year that they can't now because of this guaranteed contract. And you're not going to cut Kirk Cousins after a season. That's not going to happen. Here's where I don't think you're going to see these top-end guys get guaranteed contracts like that, Pierce, very often, because give me the last time that a quarterback was in such demand and had such a high talent level and became a free agent, like truly became a free agent.
No, it hasn't happened.
It hasn't. So he cornered the market. Next season, we're not going to see anything like this because we're not going to have this. We're not going to have this demand for a quarterback with such a high talent level as a free agent. Now, do I think you'll see more guaranteed money? Yes, but these 100% guaranteed contracts, I still don't think they're going to happen very often, and that's probably a good thing. Now, you know, all these other sports, these guys get their money, but let's face it, the average career in the NFL has actually gone down. It used to be 5 years ago. Now it's like 2 or 3.
3.4.
3.4. There you go. There's a reason why their contracts aren't 100% guaranteed.
Kevin, before I rebut, what's your opinion on all this action?
I kind of agree, but I also kind of disagree. My thing where I think it's gonna
That doesn't really work for us, Gary.
I know. But the thing that kind of gets me is you'll find out how good Cousins really is. Because, I mean, he's been a good quarterback in Washington, but he hasn't really had the talent around him that Minnesota has got that he's walking into. I mean, you got to look at this is the best team he's going to play on. Even though
Kirk Cousins has never thrown to Adam Thielen before.
Yeah. So, I mean, once he gets used to those guys, I mean, yeah, that's definitely because you got to think his best receivers he had was Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson for, a couple of those years.
Well, those guys aren't junk players.
They're not, but I mean, I just think, well, Jackson was a good receiver. Garçon was all right. I mean, he became big because of Peyton Manning, but he never did anything spectacular in Washington. And then you had an aging Santana Moss the entire time. So, I mean, like I said, I just think the offense is going to be better. He's going to have a good defense behind him. That they keep adding pieces. So, I mean, the defense you would think in theory should get better. So, I mean, you're going to find out whether or not he's as good as everybody thinks he is. So,
I mean, without question. The thing to remember, too, about that offense is that it's built around Dalvin Cook. It's not built around Kirk Cousins or Case Keenum.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook creates the space for Adam Thielen and Diggs to run in, and Kyle Rudolph, too. So, I mean, they've got weapons at every level in the passing game, but it all flows through Dalvin Cook just like it always flowed through Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want anyone to think that I'm like bashing on Kirk Cousins because that's not what I'm doing actually at all.
Because I would have loved him in Cleveland. I'll be flat out honest.
Yeah, no, and I would have too. I do think it's going to be a slow moving ball, Gary, where these guys it's not going to be right away. But here's the thing: you had to have somebody like break the barrier and get that first one right. And then slowly but surely, and it's not just quarterback. It's good. I mean, I'm talking like big time wide receivers. It's going to be the cream of the crop guys. But eventually, because here's what's going to happen: eventually, the cream of the crop guys will get it. And he was smart, right? He took a 3-year deal, fully guaranteed, which means he's going to get paid again.
Well,
unless
maybe.
he really,
so he could destroy this thing too. And if this just goes horribly south, like a Brock Osweiler type situation, he's going to set it back. On the flip side, if he balls out and he wins the Super Bowl, then yeah, I think you might move the needle.
I don't even think he has to ball out though. I just think he has to be above average. Because
I think we can all agree he's already there.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like unless he just flames out in that offensive setting, I think this is a huge step because then what I'm saying is you'll see like these big ticket guys get these short guaranteed deals. And then, 5 or 10 years from now, and I know it's a long way, but like I said, it's a process. 5 or 10 years from now, your middle to average guys are going to be, and so more and more people are going to be getting these guaranteed, and I think they will be shorter contracts because the guys look at LeBron James. I mean, if you think about it, he kind of set the standard for this. Maybe Michael at the end of his career, taking these 3-year deals where you can opt out after 2 or opt out after 1 and just keep reloading up on a contract. And I think the NFL players, Kirk Cousins being the first, finally realized, I might have to sit through a couple of tags and pray to God I stay healthy. But by doing that, I give myself all the power in the world. And that's what he did. He put himself 100% in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I mean, he does have an opportunity to get himself one more big contract. But, it's just going to depend. And he's in the best possible situation for him. I will agree. I will have to state that. There wasn't a better team that he could go to that had the money to pay him.
Not once Jacksonville re-signed Bortles, because I think Jacksonville was the best spot if they wouldn't have re-signed Bortles. What do you think, Kevin? Kevin? Hello, Kevin?
Yeah.
You just left.
Yeah, I know. I just everything froze. I was like, what the heck? But yeah, I don't know my internet.
Yeah.
Spectrum. They're awesome.
Hey, that's who I got. No, I agree with. Had the Jacksonville actually had an open quarterback position, that's the best team for him to go to. But I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah, no. So yeah, if he wants to win, it was the best place to go, and he's gonna get paid again. And it's funny because you think about they said something like now that this money is guaranteed, you can lock it up. He's already made after this contract, he'll have made something like $148 million. As who would have ever have thought when he was drafted behind RG3 that he was in his career he was going to make anywhere near. And the funny thing is, you see in ESPN, I think it was yesterday, that after he signed his first franchise tag, he offered them he basically rebutted them on a 3-year, $58 million fully guaranteed deal, and they turned it down immediately. And like now, that would have been super cheap for them.
Well, I think the thing is that Gruden didn't want him. That's just what I think it boils down to. Like, I feel like they could have had him for a reasonable price 3 or 4 different times between now and then, and he just didn't want him.
Yeah.
Now he's got to roll the dice and try and figure out what he's going to do. But
Gary, what's going on with Pittsburgh? They're doing like nothing besides letting Cleveland take Hubbard.
Well, I think they're being Pittsburgh. Personally, the one thing that I am shocked is I don't know if this is a tactic on their part, but the fact that they're actually shopping Le'Veon Bell, I don't know, man. I'd be moving money as we speak and made that guy a priority. That's what I would be doing.
What about you, Kevin Tenney?
See, well, yeah, they're free agency. They cut players. They very rarely make a signing, and when they do, it's no one you're like, yeah, I'm glad we got that guy. Yeah. So, but
it's not Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, I wouldn't have cared about that one, but yeah, the Bell thing, I haven't heard. Like, I've seen a couple like joke things on like fake Sports Center and stuff, but I haven't seen anything official like from the Steelers or anything where I'm going to actually believe it.
I'm pretty sure it was Ian Rappaport that I heard that.
All right, well, that'd be different then. I'd be. Yeah, I just don't see them. I don't understand them trading Bell, but I mean that's why a lot of the mock drafts, a lot of those guys have them taking a running back at the end of the first round because the whole Bell situation.
That is a deep class. This running back class for this draft is deep.
Oh, it is. I completely agree. But yeah, I would definitely be Bell would be my top priority. You know, it's just, but he wants a big buttload of money, and the Steelers are not really that kind of team.
No, they're not. But you know,
they're gonna be like, we got you in the second round. We'll find another one. They always do. They make it work most of the time.
No, they do, and I think they can find a running back. To Bell's case, though, I would argue that he really should have been a first round, even when he was drafted. I felt like he was bottom first round, and the Steelers really got something when they got him.
Yeah.
But there's something into what he's saying. You know, I remember when Kellen Winslow was making that same case back in the day that he should be getting wide receiver money because look at all these passes he catches.
Yeah.
Well, that was before he blew his knee out on a motorcycle. But I think Bell has the same case. He's been a third of their offense for years and years and years now. And, you know, I wouldn't break the bank to pay the dude, but I'd get him more. He'd be the highest paid running back in the NFL at the very least.
Yeah. Because, I mean, they've already said, even Antonio Brown's already reworked his contract to give him extra money. So they're getting extra money out there. And it just stinks because there's so many people that have been cut that I'm just like, why can't you pick them up? Because, like, I have a feeling I'll be surprised if Lawrence Timmons doesn't come back to Pittsburgh because Miami cut him. And then the other Pouncey, Miami just cut him. Like, I don't know what Miami's doing, but they're cutting everybody. And I wouldn't mind seeing the Steelers bring Pouncey in because then you have 2 Pounceys right there in the middle of the line. I'd be happy with that. But I don't see – Timmons is the only one I see coming back just because I think that they can get him for a cheap deal. And he knows the defense.
Sure.
I've changed my stance on Le'Veon Bell. I think that they're actually handling him perfect. I would just franchise that guy until I was done with him. Because
well, I mean, here's the thing: if you franchise him enough times, he's going to get the money he wanted anyway.
Sure, but here's the thing: it ends up being worth it, right? Like, say that they're franchising him this year, and he has a hell of a year, right? Then you probably got a value compared to what he wanted to make and what he deserves to make, in my opinion. Because I do think he shouldn't be paid just like if you're going to pay him, he shouldn't be paid just like a running back. He needs to be there needs to be like a new like matrix for these receiving / running back players that are amazing. But until that happens, until you basically franchise him, and eventually he's gonna suck, right? And it's gonna be the 1 year you overpaid him, and you just shit happens, and then you cut him and let some other team who loves his name give him a shit ton of money for a year or two before he retires and call it a day.
I mean, I guess if I'm thinking about it, they might be handling it. Listen, it's a business, so they're doing everything within their power. So I'm never going to dispute that. And I don't know, maybe shopping him is the best plan, because if you can grab a Darius Geis or a Sonny Michel at the end of the first round, neither one of those two individuals are Le'Veon Bell, but they're going to run the football. And so far, every single one of these running backs in the draft have shown that they can catch the ball too. So you can get comparable, and you're paying significantly less money. And there's got to be a team out there that's going to pay Le'Veon Bell what he wants.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we'll get lucky and they'll trade him to the Giants for number 2 and then draft Barkley.
Don't make me throw up in my mouth.
Hey, I'm just saying, when Cleveland passes on him, Steelers could be right there to get him.
Well, I've shifted on what I think the Browns are going to do, and I don't agree with it, but I think they're going to go quarterback 1, and they're going to go Minkah Fitzpatrick number 4. I think that's absolutely what's going to happen.
I hate that so bad. I was not totally upset with bringing in Carlos Hyde, because I think it doesn't hurt to have as deep of a running back, setup as you can have, and he can be serviceable. I hate the idea.
He's Isaiah Crowell it's the same. It's essentially the same running back.
I don't disagree with that at all. I don't like this idea of having, and I get that it hasn't been proven in the pros, but having a potential talent that it's not even like an in-house thing. Universally, people think this guy is, hold on, I just literally freaked out. I just got a Facebook message from Eric. He's not even calling in. He is now Facebook messaging me. So I will give him the credit to at least read this, because I'm so surprised by it, and I apologize for you guys who are listening to this, just the audible version. I wasn't even paying it. I just literally hit me like, Eric, I had to think of who the hell Eric Jensen is. And then I was like, because I don't have an Eric Jensen on my friend list. Anyhow, he says Miami is a dead organization, a tire fire lost in the atmosphere. Pretty poetic.
At least it's not the Browns.
It's poetic, and I actually agree with what he's saying. So, win for Eric today. Big thumbs up there. Anyways, what was I even talking about? I just lost it. Oh, how I think
talent that is Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I don't know how you pass up literally like a Le'Veon Bell in
theory, yes.
In theory, and I'll give you that. It hasn't proven.
I think you could argue that he would have the same impact almost immediately.
And most people in the league agree with you, Gary. And I don't know how I can't fathom at one how you pass that up. I get a lot of things. I get if you don't take Baker Mayfield, even though I think that's the way to go at your quarterback. Even if you go 1 at quarterback, I think you need to take Baker. But I think it's a huge mistake. And honestly, to kind of switch this up a little and go to, it's more of a Buffalo question. I'm hearing rumors out here in Utah of Buffalo trying to package those 2 picks they have to move up to 4.
I've heard rumors about that.
I've heard 3 and 4. They want them both. One or the other.
The math
in for a quarterback.
Yeah, and I guess the math says that it would, to get to 2 or 3, it would take their second rounders as well, according to that trade chart. But, and Eric, I'll get to your question in just a second. But to get to 4, it would only take the 2 1s. So if you're Cleveland, would you guys trade out of that 4 spot, right? No matter who you're taking at 1, I don't even want to think about that. Whoever you're thinking about at 1, would you trade out of that 4 spot and take the 12th and 21st pick? So now you've got 3 picks in the first round. I see Gary's, for you guys listening at home, Gary is shaking his head aggressively.
No.
You wouldn't. What about you, Kevin?
No.
I've been going back and forth because I was talking to my buddy earlier this week that I thought when Buffalo traded them Tyrod, that there might be some kind of deal in place. Because I was expecting, because I knew they were going to need want a quarterback. So, but I was thinking at the time, it was before this trade where they moved up to 12. I was figuring, because there was going to be a big price to move to 4. I was thinking they were going to end up trading them 21, 22, and next year's first round pick. And I was like, you can't pass that up if that's the case. But now with them at 12, I think the Browns are going to trade back. I just don't know if trading out of the top 10 is that smart. Because I could see if you move back down to 10, 9, 10, then I don't think it's as bad. But 12 is kind of pushing it, especially if you want a quarterback. If you don't want a quarterback, then 12 is not a bad spot, I don't think.
That's the thing. Here's where I'm at. I want Barkley at 1. I want that magic to happen.
Yeah.
I don't personally believe that's what they're going to do. But let's just pretend that that's what they did. We have now pulled a Cleveland, traded back, and missed out on a quarterback again. That's unacceptable. We have got to draft a guy in the top 5.
Let me ask you this, Gary, and trust me, this is coming from a fellow Browns fan, and I would say that I'm even the crazier one. You're usually more sensible, and I'm like the dreamer. I'll own that. But that being said, like, no, I think we've all agreed at some point on this podcast that none of these quarterbacks like stand out as like a no-brainer, right? So if you have to take, because I think one of them will be there at 12, right?
Mm-mm.
You don't think?
Depends on the trades. That's the thing, because you got Arizona, you got the Jets.
No, I know who will be there at 12, and I don't want him, and that's Lamar Jackson.
Oh, he's getting some love lately.
Yeah, and he's smaller than Teddy Bridgewater in frame, and he's going to break.
What about the other kid from, it's not Texas Tech. There's another kind of like, what's that?
Toledo?
Is it Toledo? And maybe that's
I know that's what they talked about on the one Thomas podcast.
No.
Mason Rudolph out of Oklahoma State.
Yes, Mason Rudolph. What about him?
He's all right. I saw him beat West Virginia. So, I mean, he's got an arm on him, but to me, he kind of reminds me of a little bit of Brandon Whedon. So
Yeah, ding, ding.
Yeah, and even the same school. So, I mean.
Ding, ding. Now, here's my thing. I think that Darnold, Rosen, and Baker Mayfield, and Josh Allen for that matter, I keep forgetting about that kid. He is special. Josh Allen is special. All of those quarterbacks are going to be good, in my opinion, good NFL starters. I don't have the ability to pick which one of them is going to be a franchise guy, which is why I'm sitting here talking with you handsome gentlemen, and I'm not in the front office somewhere. But you will have a guy who's going to hold down your spot for 5 to 7 in those 4 guys. I truly believe that. But I can't see us missing, because I think Tyrod makes us better instantly than Deshaun Kaiser, but he's 1-2 year Band-Aid at best. And if the Tyrod Taylor experiment works, now we're drafting next year 12, 14, 15. We miss out on a crop of quarterbacks next year, which from what I'm hearing isn't going to be as good as this year.
What if, and I know this is I'm going to ask Eric's question just a second. What if Tyrod is good enough? Or why is it, I've been really going, changing,
Here's why. Because what makes us like him is what's going to make us hate him as well.
Safe?
He's too safe. He's great with the football, and the dude can ball, but he's going to see Josh Gordon in a tight window, and he's not going to take it.
I guess what I'm saying, Gary, is why is it I get the importance of a quarterback on this team as much as anybody. I've been following my whole flipping life. The last 18 years have been nothing but disappointment. Well, we did have one playoff year where Butch Davis fucked us because he played prevent like the second quarter or some bullshit.
It still hurts a little bit.
33-17 at half. All right, guys, we're going into prevent for the rest of the game. Fucking idiot. Anyways, now that I've got that out of my system,
Eric's blowing you up right now, isn't he?
Who? Eric? No, Eric's being good. He's good.
Right.
I'm running with it. Anyways, why? I guess my thing is, like, I totally get having a quarterback, right? I get how important it is. I get everything that everyone is saying about how we need to fill this position. And I think that we do have a decent bridge quarterback for the next couple of years. All that being said, if there's not a guy who is an Andrew Luck standout, who like everyone like across the board says this guy has to be is a no-brainer, why do we have to take him at 1 or 4 or top 10?
So
you see what I'm saying?
If I'm gonna, yeah, no, I see what you're saying. If I'm gonna say that I trust John Dorsey, which with the moves that he's made up to this point, I do. If he looks us fans in the eyes and said, "Listen, I didn't have the guy. He wasn't there for me," I'm gonna believe him. But then if Josh Allen goes Carson Wentz on me, I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna question his decisions at those points. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree with that. But I totally right now I'm giving John Dorsey my full support, right? That being said, I'm afraid of like, does he have Jimmy Haslam and D Haslam in his ear going, "You got to fucking take a quarterback. Like you have to do it. There's no choice. You got to fill that position." Then he's
That's
not.
how Manziel ended up in Cleveland.
Yeah, and look where that got us.
Oh, I know.
So I think that the Tyrod Taylor deal shows us that John Dorsey's allowed to do John Dorsey's job, because we know Hugh loved A.J. McCarron, but Hugh also loved Tyrod Taylor. But Jimmy was just as much in love with A.J., and I think if Jimmy were still the puppet master in this case, we'd be overpaying A.J. McCarron to be our starting quarterback next year.
No, and I hope you're right. And I just hope so. And if he takes the quarterback 1, then I'll trust it. All the talk I'm hearing is everyone is 2 things. A, we have to take a quarterback, right? At 1 or 4, we have to. And then they're also saying at that exact same conversation as none of these guys are like head and shoulders above anybody. And there's so much talent everywhere in a lot of places in this draft. Running back, I think, is deep. And to get to Eric's question, he wants to know who we think the best defensive guy. And then I like Chubbs. You think you put him on the other side with Garrett, on the other side of Garrett, and that makes a very dangerous couple of edge rushers for the next 5 or 10 years in Cleveland. I just don't know why we're so stuck on having to take a quarterback.
I wouldn't be upset if Chubb was picked. Again, however this rolls out, I'm going to be good with, because John Dorsey has shown me that he's good at his job. But I worry that we're going to Cleveland ourselves again, and not be sold on a guy and so leery about making the wrong decision that they make the wrong decision.
But is it wrong to? I mean, in this particular draft, like I get the last ones where how do you not take Watson, because that frustrated me. How do you not take Wentz? I get that. But how do you, and like in those drafts, so those guys were clear, like everyone outside of Cleveland was saying, there's no fucking way you pass these guys up. This very particular draft, and I guess that's why I'm arguing so passionately about it, is because this draft, everyone's like, there's no like guy like you have to have. You just simply have to fill a position.
Let me pitch it to you like this. If you're in the New York Giants organization, you're drafting 2. Saquon Barkley was just picked 1st overall. What are you drafting?
Quarterback.
At 1?
Thank you. At 2.
Oh, yeah, quarterback.
And you have Eli Manning.
Yeah,
but I mean, you have Eli Manning.
But to me, that makes the case. If the Giants, who have a lot of holes, let's be honest, still go quarterback if Saquon's not there, it's worth it taking him at 4.
And I get, and here's the thing, at 4, I guess that's my biggest.
Gotcha. Let
me make that. I honestly, at 4, at least I don't mind a quarterback. I would still probably take Chubb at 4. Like right now, I'd probably take, and this is going to change because it has changed weekly. I'm stuck on Barkley at 1. It's going to take a baby Jesus miracle for someone to talk me out of Barkley at 1, because I just think he's the best overall talent in the entire draft. And I think at 1, you take the best overall player. Almost don't even care what your need is. If you have a guy who can set a position for a handful of years, you can do it. But at 4, I flip.
Listen, here's the other crazy thing that hasn't even gone down yet, Matt, is Nick Foles is still a member of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, but he ain't going anywhere.
And we've called.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people call, but he isn't going anywhere. Because
the Eagles are asking, because I heard about that like middle of the week, and they said that I heard the Browns called, and they told the Browns they want 1 and 4 for him. That's what I heard. I'm not saying that's true, but I mean that's what I heard. I remember it was one of the Browns radio shows actually.
Well, you can't
Yeah,
blame him.
92 the fan.
You can't blame him for asking that. He did just win the Super Bowl MVP, but no matter what you think about the guy, his stock is up right now.
It is, but I mean it's too high. That's the thing. You got to be stupid to pay that. I wouldn't even give a first round pick for him.
And here's,
I might give one, not both.
I wouldn't give a top 5 first rounder. Yeah. I would give a 21st. Yeah, if I'm sitting at 21 and I want a quarterback and I need a quarterback, then I would why not? For a guy, I get that he's not anything super, but he's adequate and he's proven that he can play in the league, obviously. He did what none of us thought he would do, and that's get the Eagles through the playoffs through a pretty tough playoff situation and to win a Super Bowl. I would give a 21 for a proven guy, but I definitely not giving a top 5.
And, like, I understand Philly wanted to trade him, but at the same time, I think it's stupid because you got a guy that you know he's going to be your backup. He can obviously work for you. He won a Super Bowl for you. And you don't know if Wentz is even going to be healthy at the beginning of the season. So, I mean, those could be important games that you could end up losing with Wentz out because you get rid of Foles.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have to give him an offer where you give up 2 first-round draft picks to get him now, because I think Philly is going to do just that. They're going to sit on him. Once Carson Wentz is healthy, all right, go back to the bench. I think Carson will be ready to go by the beginning of the season because of his youth, but if he's not, there's Foles. And then he gets moved in a Sam Bradford type situation where all of a sudden people are like, I need a quarterback now. You know, an injury is going to – he will move. He will not be Philly all year next year, but it's going to be because they know Carson is ready to go and because somebody else needs one that bad.
Here's the thing. If you're Philly and you can't get a 1 for him, I don't trade him just because for what little he's costing you to have that quality of a backup. On a team, by the way, who I think is compete. And here's the thing, and this is what we're going to get back to this. I do want to get to Eric's question who the best defensive player in the draft is, but the Eagles probably aren't making it, in my opinion. It's going to be tough for those guys because the NFC is not weak. Like, the Niners, I don't think they're going to do anything deep, but they're going to be competitive. Minnesota, we'll see what Cousins is, but they should still be very good. But honestly, the Rams, in my opinion, are the team to watch out for out of the NFC.
Well, I think the Rams win their division and the 49ers finish second. Anything less than an NFC West championship or NFC East, NFC East championship for the Vikings is just it's
a fail.
It's a bad season.
Yeah.
I'll answer Eric's question just because I know he's just sitting there just freaking out because there's no order to what's going on right now. I think it's flowing nicely, but I'm just saying. In my opinion, it is Minkah Fitzpatrick because he's the best all around. Chubb is the best pass rusher, and he's a specialist and he's a freak. But he's okay in run defense, great in pass rush. I think Fitzpatrick defends the ball, tackles hard. He'll play up on the line of scrimmage if you want him to. I mean, you could play this dude at any position in the secondary, and he'll make the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, it's not a terrible argument. I think today I'm with Chubbs. We'll see. I know all the mock. You like Fitzpatrick too, huh, Kevin?
Yeah.
The second coming of Palomalu.
I don't know if I go that far, but he's good.
But what about Peppers? We still have Peppers.
Yeah, you got Peppers. Anything else?
He's phenomenal.
Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to play cornerback.
Oh, well, we definitely need.
If we drafted him, he's going to play corner.
We need a corner. We're desperate for a corner.
Yeah. We have Jabril Peppers is moving. He's going back to the strong safety where he belongs.
Yeah, and then
Randall's going to play free.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. That's what I'm thinking. If Fitzpatrick's going to play safety in the league, then
he will. But if the Browns draft him, he'll play corner.
But almost that's the thing is every mock draft I've seen, and I get you could take every mock draft with a freaking thing of salt, right? But I think everyone's got him going forward to Cleveland just about. Him or Chubbs, it kind of flip-flops, and I don't get it. Anyways, let's get on to some other teams because, I think you think of teams like the Cardinals. I just looking at teams that have actually done pretty much. It doesn't feel like they've done a whole lot. I see that. Oh, I didn't know that the Houston Texans claimed old Sammy Coates. I didn't know.
First, I think Arizona's doing a terrible job.
Yes.
Because they signed Sam Bradford to a $20 million contract, then signed Mike Glennon, to do both of those things, had to cut their second best defensive player.
Wait, they signed Mike.
Mathau.
Not to interrupt you, Greg. They signed Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon.
I didn't
5
see
minutes
that.
after he was cut.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
Does Sam Bradford just give like the best reach arounds ever? Because this guy keeps getting fucking big dollars, and he's the most.
Gotta do something special.
$20 million for one season,
And you know
and they signed Mike Glennon.
and you know he's
Bradford's not even gonna make it the whole year.
Yeah, you know he's going to be gone like 6 games in. So you're paying $20 million for a 6-game quarterback if you're lucky.
Yeah.
But that arm for those 6 games, though, boy, woo!
I get it.
And that's the bad thing because Bradford got hurt stepping away from a snap last year because his knees are so bad. Yeah, I would understand that. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy that they cut the Honey Badger only if the Steelers sign him. Like that is my one free agent wish list. It's like just throw out some money. It's like you got Bell franchise tagged. If you're not going to get him a long term, sign the Honey Badger. They can sign anybody for the defense.
See, that's a guy I'd like to see in Cleveland. Obviously.
No, I would love to see him, but it's just not going to happen. He ends up in New York, either Jets or Giants, in my opinion.
I hope
both those coaching staffs have former coaches of his, so it's going to be a natural fit. The Jets obviously have the most amount of money, and Todd Bowles was his defensive coordinator, so I think that's where he ends up. The team that's doing the absolute least.
Hold on, real quick. Do you know how much they gave Glennon? Because now I'm interested. You've got me like.
I don't know off the top of my head, but it was not Chicago money. I do know it wasn't that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It wasn't $20 million either.
Wow.
But
that's
the Indianapolis Colts should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah, I agree. It's another team that's done shit, and they got a ton of money.
Your team needs to step their game up, homie.
Yeah, John. I talked to John today or the other day via text. And they got a ton of cash too. It's not like they're sitting there with no money to spend.
$75 million, I think, in cap space.
And I get, especially if they think Andrew Luck's going to definitely be ready for week 1. Kevin, why aren't they going and getting him some weapons? Because he has
nothing. Dante
nothing.
Moncrief is a free agent, isn't he?
I think.
Yeah, I think so.
What his second leading receiver?
I don't know. They don't make any sense. Like the Steelers, I expect that out of because that's how they do it every year. The Colts, yeah, you win. I mean, I don't know. It makes.
I would argue that the Colts had as many holes across their team as the Cleveland Browns did, with the giant exception of quarterback. Like if Andrew Luck is healthy, they're good there, but they have holes everywhere else.
Yeah.
And here's the see, Gary. You just keep making me mad. I don't think Cleveland had that many holes. Like I hate everyone saying that. Like we had
16. They had quite a few holes.
That doesn't mean you have a lot of holes. That means you got some holes, and you like a quarterback who goes, oh, like, and I think 7 of those games they only lost by a possession. But you got quarterback who, oh shit, we're on a winning drive. Well, I better throw it to the other fucking team.
All right, well, hang on. Here's why I say we have holes, Matt. So, first, across the offensive line, I completely disagree with Eric, and I think he's wrong. I think he should check his stats. Cleveland finished in the top 15 for their offensive line play, even after Joe Thomas was gone. I'm almost certain. That's not a hole. And Zeitler is a very good guard. But wide receiver group, come on. That
I said we had some holes.
Yeah. Well, so listen, Njoku is he has a high ceiling and he's talented, but there really wasn't a lot behind him. So I consider that a hole. Crowell should have been playing better than he was. And I don't blame that on the offense.
Well, we should have ran more.
I blame that on
That's
sure.
Some of that's play calling. Like you have to let a guy get warmed up and moving. Like our running, we didn't run damn near enough.
I won't necessarily disagree with that, but his indecisiveness when he had the football, it frustrated me watching him run the ball. So I can only imagine what Hugh Jackson was doing. It's just where I'm at with it. Duke Johnson, just looked better when he ran the football. I'm not saying he was better in between tackles, but he just looked like he was better. So you needed to upgrade that position somehow, some way, whether it was play calling or player, whatever. So I count that as a whole. On our defensive line, Ogba good, but got hurt. So you need depth because we didn't get much out of his side of the line after he got hurt. Myles Garrett, hurt. Didn't get much outside of him. Shelton, love Danny Shelton, and I'm sad that he's gone, but he's not a fit in that defense.
Wonder who this is.
I poked the bear.
Pearson Mind Podcast. What's your name, and what can we do for you? Hello, Pearson Mind Podcast. I think I might hung up on him by accident. If I did, he'll call. I did turn the volume down a little bit. I hope that was better.
That was better. Linebacker group, by the way, not a lot of depth, so that's a hole. And then, Jabril Peppers was just playing out of position.
Yeah, again, that wasn't his fault, right? He kind of had to play where we had him.
When I say holes, I don't necessarily mean in starters either, Matt. I mean, you got to have depth to be good.
Sure. And we were young. I think that's another big part of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think? Speaking of, not speaking of anything, I'm an idiot. Do you think that Mr. Burfict has played his last game in the NFL? Seems like this guy can't stop getting in trouble, and now he's suspended 4 more games.
No. I mean, Cincinnati's not going to get rid of him, so I don't think it's going to be
I even feel bad saying that out loud because of how many chances Josh Gordon has gotten, and I want him to keep getting chances as long as the NFL will, but Josh Gordon also isn't the player on the field that Vontaze Burfict is. I don't know.
Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can do it this time. Pearson Mind Podcast. What the hell? He keeps hanging or somebody keeps hanging up. I don't know what's going on. That's just the way it works, I guess. Yeah, but I don't know. I think I would be done with, at least if I'm the Bengals, I'm done with this guy. And I think he's a talented player. He can't keep his shit together. Like, at some point, you just got to cut ties. And maybe he'll be better off for it. I know, I'm having a hard time remembering names tonight. The wide receiver for the Vikings, Hall of Famer, not named
Chris Carter.
Chris Carter. He said one of the best things that ever happened to him was the Eagles finally got rid of him because they couldn't take his shit anymore. And he's like, oh, that's a wake-up call, right? And I think maybe it's time for Cincy to do a similar thing with Burfict, just maybe for his own good, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I can't necessarily disagree with that. I guess the biggest thing is, he is going to get picked up. It's going to be a 4-game suspension for drugs, but I don't know. Did he really learn his lesson?
What is going on?
Did they say was it drugs or was it PEDs? Do you know? Or
pretty sure the report said the drug policy.
I'm calling this number back. Listen to what great shows do. They get sick of getting hung up on.
Yeah, we heckle back.
Pearson Mind Podcast. Who the hell is this? All right. Well, I love you, and I hope you're having a great day. I'm gonna hang up now, but know that you're loved. And if you need a hug, we're here for you. Oh, where are my speakers muted? That could be part of the problem. Stand by. I might have solved the mystery. I'm like fucking Scooby-Doo right now. Reference.
Yeah, ruh-roh, Raggy.
Well, see, Gary, I try to do what you tell me and take your advice.
My speakers muted.
Hello? Can you hear us now? Oh, wait. Hello, Pearson Mind Podcast. Why are they muted? This is so weird. Hello, Pearson Mind Podcast. Now I'm like really confused.
That was a hang up.
Yeah, no, that was a hang up. I don't know. I guess I can't figure it out. I must have broke it when I was... See, Gary, this is what happens. I take your advice, which I actually thought was good advice.
You see what's happening here, Kevin, right?
And I'm putting the blame 100% on you?
All right.
What?
No, I just wanted to witness.
Did I say that I didn't do that? Because I think I literally said I'm putting the blame 100% on you.
I guess to get back to some of the other football teams and their moves while you're figuring that out.
Yeah, do that, Gary. Talk.
Yeah, Denver, they haven't wowed me. I can't say I'm necessarily disappointed, but they haven't really wowed me either. Although I do think that the Trevor Siemian trade was probably pretty smart. I mean, you didn't need him if Case Keenum was going to be the guy, right? And Paxton Lynch is still a first-round draft pick, so you got to keep him around. But outside of that, I mean, I don't know. They just don't. I don't think they have a lot of money to go crazy in free agency, so I think they're probably doing the best that they can. Just get ready to draft.
Overall, I
question for you.
Go ahead, Gary.
Do you think this, Gary?
Kevin, why do I keep calling you Gary?
I told no, you're calling me Gary when I was talking to you earlier. I see how it is. The Axeman's gonna get axed soon. But do you think this might be the beginning of the end for the Patriots?
I want it so bad. You're right. They're losing a ton of people, right? So Malcolm Butler, they did that. We still don't know 100%. Like, I've heard reports that say, you know, there's drugs or this or they have that with Malcolm Butler. I'm not going to believe anything because it's hard to. But, you know, they made that decision. Nate Solder, highest paid offensive lineman in the league, and deservedly so. The dude defended Tom Brady's blind side as well as you possibly could. I mean, who else did they lose? I'm trying to remember. Amendola, right? Yeah, Mr. Playoff.
Who did? There was another person.
There's a fourth starter that left. But, you know, they did add Danny Shelton to their nose tackle. That was smart on their part. I don't know that he's said one way or the other, but I still feel like Gronk is going to retire. I don't know. I think he should. He should do the Joe Thomas and do it while he still has half a brain left.
If he's lucky. But
that guy does not have half a brain left.
Well, I don't think he had a full one getting into it. I mean, I think he's held pat there. You know, I really feel like Tom Brady is going to fall off at some point. And I don't mean like drastic, but he's not going to be the same guy. And it's going to happen sooner rather than later. And, you know, Matt Patricia leaving, I still think McDaniels did a real shitty thing to the Colts. I mean, that was I don't care what the Patriots promised him. That was bullshit.
He better hope that the Patriots promised him the head coaching job because he's never going to get a shot at any other team in the NFL after that.
Here's the problem, though. They can't promise him the job because they have to follow the Rooney Rule whenever they have to replace their head coach, don't they?
Dude, but you're not going to come out and be like, hey, he's staying because we promised him the head coaching job. I mean, that could easily be one of those shaking hands, and it's like, it's going to be you. I mean,
I get that, but
paper, you know, but yeah. So I mean, for him to turn that down. I mean, you had to have gave him that shot or that idea that that's gonna be his team to inherit. Because there's
I'm sure that's what they told him.
You know, it's just, but yeah, he better hope that his offense stays good even when Tom Brady starts sucking. Because if they let him go, like I said, I could see him being blackballed by the NFL. Just because of how he did it.
Yeah, and
he'll be on the Kaepernick list.
And I don't think Bill Belichick is particularly happy with how things are happening in New England right now either, because I saw a report. I mean, it could be fake, but I saw a report where he was pissed when Garoppolo got traded because apparently Tom Brady was the one who went up there and said, "Listen, I got 4 or 5 more years left in me, and we're good. So if you got value in this guy, trade him." And Bill Belichick's like, I don't care if Tom Brady says he's got 4 years. I say how many years he has left.
Yeah.
So, you know, it sounds like there might be some dysfunction, but maybe it's planted.
Yo.
Here's the Mind Podcast, Eric. Were you trying to call us?
Yeah, I called like 4 times. Every time it was like, sorry, your call cannot be completed as dialed. And then it was like, nuestra blah, 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 Spanish that I don't understand. And, It was very disconcerting. And then you left me a voicemail, but I didn't get an incoming call from you, which is very strange.
Sounds like you need to pay your – maybe Kevin axed you. Maybe he gave you the axe.
All right. Well, I didn't want to call in for long. You're just ignoring my questions in the Facebook. I have literally one question to ask, and then I'm going to hang up and go to the live stream. So give me a second to go to the live stream. Also, shout out us at Endzone Pod. We got a live stream going up tonight. Go check that out, folks.
Shout out Enzo Pod.
But my question is, and wait half a second for me to get to the stream on Twitter. Gary, how's the vape life? What's the juice like tonight? How we feeling, man?
That's really your question.
Come on. Is that the question?
It is his. He literally called.
All right.
That is
Okay.
Eric all day long. And man,
I'm gonna give him his time, and I'm gonna seriously answer his question.
Eric, wait, I gotta say, Eric and Jason, you should be watching Facebook, Gary. Eric and Jason have not been getting along.
Jason, get him.
Jason
Get him,
quote:
Jason.
Eric is a fuck stick. Ignore him, Gary. That is terrible. He also called him the F word that I can't say. That I refuse to say. Yeah.
Ooh. All right. So
He got aggressive.
The vape has been retired. I've hung it up. I've tried to use it to quit smoking, and it's actually caused me a little bit more health problems than it should have. So it's hung up. But I will tell you, Eric, that if I were vaping, it would be my go-to is called Steez Cake. It's a strawberry cheesecake. It's delectable, but it's hung up.
Here's the thing with the vaping. I think it's just a way to get kids hooked on smoking. They got French toast, cotton candy. That shit's total kid set up.
Oh, you mean kind of like a cartoon camel smoking and telling
Yeah,
you it's okay to smoke?
absolutely. It's like new. I'm surprised they don't have candy.
I can't argue that.
I'm
Shit
surprised.
tastes amazing.
I'm surprised they don't have candy vapes yet.
They have them. What are you talking about?
No, I mean for kids. Vape like your parents. Here's a fucking Snickers vape.
Snickers.
I'm fat.
So listen, you can buy vape that doesn't have nicotine in it. I mean that's a thing,
So stupid.
and it's unregulated right now, and I do think that's actually a problem. But I don't know. My lungs they don't like vapor.
Well, that's good. I do want to say that I wasn't ignoring. I was fully intent on getting his defense question. And what the fuck am I going to ask about vape life for? Come on, Eric. You're better than this. Again, though, I'm not invited on his podcast because I can't unhook all my fucking gear.
I know what Eric. He likes to have a little bit of fun. There's nothing wrong with it. He pokes out my vape god life. Let's face it though, Eric. If you could blow clouds that I was doing, even off screen, you'd be living the life.
Isn't there competitions for that?
I think so.
Yeah, I've seen it on Facebook. People doing competitions.
That's funny.
Is that a sport? No, joking.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Where are your guys' brackets at? How are you doing? Are they busted yet?
No.
Because I'm pretty much rocking and rolling, I'm pretty sure.
My winning percentage actually went up with the late games yesterday, but I don't remember.
Are you above 80%? Because I'm at 79 for my highest bracket. Oh, wait, shit. I'm at 89 now. I must have picked an upset.
Winning percentage?
Yeah, 89.
I'd have to look.
And I got some dingers too, man.
Can't you check my bracket on your phone? We're in the same group.
Oh, shit, look at this. I can. God, Gary, you just bring so much to the show. Not only do you have a beard that Eric is absolutely in love with, and I think he's still disappointed at the Axeman for trimming his beard.
I think Eric could live in this beard. Little.
Hey, here's the thing. Who's Blackout 1688?
That's me.
Okay, Matt, where's yours then? I only got me and Gary then.
No, I'm there. I picked Xavier to win.
Well, so did Gary, right? So yeah, I only got the only thing that's showing is mine and Gary's.
Oh, maybe.
So how am I doing?
Crazy.
You got 10 more points than me right now.
Or how do wait?
Points and I'm at
It says
190.
let's go.
But I got Cincy winning it, so.
Oh, really? All right. I got
Yeah.
Xavier.
What is the group you created?
It's just Pierce and mine.
What the fuck?
I sent you the invite.
I know, and
You just did your own. You didn't join the group. You just went into the first page and made your own bracket.
Oh, right. Was I supposed to hit another page?
Well, yeah, you're supposed to join the group. It's password.
Yeah.
Oh, that's I was wondering. I was like, maybe I'm lucky. I don't have to fill out a password. Okay.
Listen, when you're given a password and the first thought you had is maybe I'm lucky I don't have to input a password, you're in the wrong spot.
Hey, you can still add your bracket because it says underneath it says create.
Yeah, I know.
Group. So
that's what I'm trying to figure out now is how to join a group. Oh wait, search groups. Pierce of mine. I'm gonna do this right now. Pierce.
I don't want to give you the password or the thing. I don't need a million people joining our thing. It was just for us three.
Well, yeah, I know. Well,
I'll send it to you in a message.
Put it in the message box.
Calm down.
In the chat. Come on, man. You use the technology when it works for you, but all of a sudden it doesn't work for you. You're just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Hey, you're lucky. I was gonna make the password brown suck cock.
I would have done it. If I were you, I would have done it.
Hey, how about the good one? When he went out to Utah, it was the first time after the wreck and all that crap. When he finally went to Utah, he blew a tire. So he called.
Yes, I know this.
Needed to borrow money for the tire. So I was like, all right, so I had the
Western Pierce.
Dude, I was so poor.
Yeah, he was pretty bad.
He was.
So he wanted me the Western Union, so I had to get up, go to Walmart because I'm working midnights, and he calls me the butt crack at fucking dawn. And I go and I give him money and do all that crap. And they're like, would you like to put a password that only he can get? And I was like, oh, so bad. I was like, can you have somebody there record him saying it for me? And the lady's like, I can't do that. And I was like, all right. But I kept debating because I was going to make him have to say Steelers are the best. But and then I had to ask, I was like, if he doesn't.
He might have been stuck in Nebraska. He might not have said it.
And that was the thing because I was like, if he doesn't get the money, do I get my money back? And they're like, no, it just stays there. And I'm like, well, I don't want to lose money because he won't say fucking the Steelers are the best.
He wouldn't do it. No. He wouldn't do it. He'd whore himself.
That was
money before he would say that.
That's because I texted him. I was like, all right, the money's there. I was like, only problem is, I was like, you got to tell him Steelers are the best. He's like, I'm not doing it. And I was like, I'm just dicking with you right now. But yeah, it was so close. And I was like, if I knew I could get my money back if he didn't get it after a certain amount of time, then I would have done it. But they're like, no, it just waits for him.
My man. No, I'm sitting in Utah trying to set up a warehouse, wondering where my floater is. And I keep getting updates from Tom Taylor like, oh, yeah, he's, wrecked his house. He's in the hospital. Then we're going to bring him out. And then they're like, oh, by the way, he dropped a transmission and blew 2 tires.
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. Hey, first off, you should be impressed with my fortitude to make it
determination
to make it there.
I half expected to see you like dancing on a tire just to get there.
Because that shit, and I did join that group, guys. That shit was it should have been simple, like, oh, I bought this new car. It's easy out, no problem. Even after Tom fucked me because I was supposed to go out earlier, and he's like, you know what? We've decided we're going to wait 3 months after you just the day before told your landlord you're moving out and giving up your apartment. Yeah. So.
Oh, and that reminds me of the other best part. When he left, the morning he left, he stayed at my house that night before.
Yeah, you're close to I-5. Yeah, you're right there.
And so he had this van with shitty tires on it. And so we were up and I was beating him in Madden all night like usual. And then it's like, he's like, I'm just going to leave. I'm not going to wake you up in the morning. So I'm like, all right. He wakes me up and he's like, I can't get my car to go. The tires just keep spinning. And I'm like, what the fuck? So his car is in the middle of my street, just sitting there. He's back in to get me. I have to go get in my Blazer, and then I have to get behind him and push him down the road so he can get going because the tires were that bad. And I'm just like, this is not going to go good for him at all.
There was no way you were going to make it to Utah on tires like that.
Well, no, that would have been okay. But then I get to Oklahoma. I make it by the fact that I made it all the way to Lincoln, Nebraska. I don't know how the hell I made it that far. I get to Lincoln and I start popping tires. It was amazing. I would go a quarter of a mile and pop a tire. And so I get towed to this little shop in Lincoln, Nebraska. And if you haven't been to Lincoln, Nebraska, I love those people. They're cool people. But if you talk about a group of people that completely are exactly what you think they would be, every stereotype you could imagine.
Hey, I got family from there.
Well, I don't care. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just saying every person I've seen completely filled the Nebraskan stereotype I had drawn in my head of overalls, farming type guy. And it was all good. They're all good people. I'm just saying it's hilarious because I literally had felt like I'd seen them already in my head. But I get to this shop, right, and the guy's like looking at me like real weird, like I'm. We all know I'm an idiot, right? But like he doesn't know that I'm an idiot yet, but he's figuring it out.
Yeah,
And he's like,
on the case.
he's like, come here, check this out. He's like, see this tire? I was like, yeah. He's like, and then he shows me all the tires. It's like, well, do you see anything wrong with those? Me, because I'm mechanically retarded. No, they look like tires. They're round, golden. He's like, they're all different sizes, every one. And my poor grandpa, who I love to death, gave me the van basically, puts the tires on so I have good tires, right? So he thought, to get me to where, because he did his best to get me to where I was going safely. But he put 4, like, not just like 2 different sizes. No, I had 4 completely different sized tires and somehow drove to Lincoln, Nebraska. And then I find out that if you're driving on 4 different tires, right, it's a bad plan. But if you're going to do it, it's going to fuck your transmission up. Because your transmission's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. These guys are all pulling me in different directions. So, yeah, and that's why I had to call for every ounce of help, financial help I could, because I was, like, already, like, I had rented my apartment blind. Yeah, the whole first, like, trip to Utah was, like, a clusterfuck from the word go. And it didn't get much better. Now, even when I came back, it was rough, but ended up falling into place. Obviously, things have worked out. But, yeah, at first, I was like, oh, fuck, this place.
Yeah, the second time you went to Utah was pretty bad, too.
Oh, no. Hold on. I'm going to mute you. I don't even – because if your wife even hears this, she's going to stop talking to me again. Okay? I don't need that. Let's just say we all know that I have my douche moments. And in all fairness, like, mentally, I had to get the hell out, and I had to go get this job opportunity. But that being said, we all know it was a douche move. I don't need your wife to hear it and get mad at me again. Your wife wouldn't even accept my existence for a solid year.
Yeah, it was close to 2.
Yeah, it sucked dick is what it did. Kevin, can I come over and play Madden? Miranda's home. That's cool. No.
No,
Just no.
that's not cool.
That's
the
not going
opposite
to
of
work.
Cool.
Dude, it was so bad. He would call the talk, and all of a sudden he would know when Miranda would ask if I was talking to Matt, because all of a sudden she would ask me, "Is that Matt?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm just talking to a buddy." And Matt's just like, "She's asking if it's me, isn't it?" And then she's like, "Seriously, you guys still talk to him?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do."
I know. It's like I told Kim. I get that I have some serious douche moments in my life that I can't take back and I can't change, and I don't always think everything through. But if you hang out, if you give me time, like, I'm a pretty decent human being at my core. Sometimes my core takes a while to get to because I'm so fat that
That's a good way to look at it.
my doucheness gets there first.
But you definitely shown up in Vegas the last time when we all went. That definitely smoothed everything over. So
well, you made it very clear. Like, if you don't show up in Vegas, my wife's probably never going to speak to you ever again. It's like,
you told her that you were going to come, and she was sitting there, and it's just like, that's her big thing is, like, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Which I know going on a trip like that it's a lot, but, if you say you're going to be able to do it.
Yeah, and I did it. Matter of fact, I came out.
Showed up early.
Yeah, I showed up early. I decided to drive out.
Yeah, this is Matt for you. Perfect Matt. He buys a plane ticket, and then he calls me at that, it was like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm here. And I'm like, you're where? And he's like, I'm downstairs in the lobby. And I'm like, if I come down to the lobby and you're fucking with me, I was like, I'm going to be so pissed. So I get down there, and he's there. And I'm like, how'd you get here so early? He's like, I drove. And I'm like, what about your plane ticket? He's like, I didn't want to wait, so I just left. I'm like, why would you buy a plane ticket?
Well, I was excited to get to see you guys. And I was like sitting there in my house. I'm like, well, I could sit here and I can't sleep or anything because you know how you get really excited. And I'm like, well, fuck it. I could drive there in like 6 hours, 7.
In fairness, too, Pierce, that wasn't your most patient time in life.
Oh yeah, no.
Like, that might be the most impulsive that I ever remember you, is that time when you went and visited Vegas. Like, you if it popped into your head,
oh yeah,
you were doing it.
I was out. And the only thing that stops me from doing that more, like now, maybe not as much as I would have, but is Kim. Because I'm constantly like, oh, I have 3 days off school. Let's drive to San Francisco. Because it's only 14 hours. And she's like, and how are we going to, like, stay anywhere or eat or put gas in the truck? Honey, you're totally overthinking all this. let's just drive to San Francisco. I think it will all work itself
We'll
out.
figure it out when we run out of gas, and we'll figure it out when I'm hungry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way, I got into the bracket, and I'm actually leading, so I'm pretty much the champion so far. But you do know who's in last place, don't you?
I am.
Gary Black.
No,
I mean, Gary. Here's the thing: Gary's in the middle on my screen. I don't know what he is in yours, but he's on the bottom center. So like, I'm looking at that scrubby face all day long. So even though I want to talk to Kevin, I'm saying Gary. So I apologize, but Kevin is in last place.
Yeah, I know.
You are
Complete guesses. Some of them coin flip.
Oh yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know shit about college basketball.
Oh yeah.
I saw the perfect thing on I think it was Sports Funny, and it was like a quote from a guy. He's like, "I picked Arizona, and I picked Arizona. They lost. My 3 kids picked Buffalo because they like buffaloes." And he's like, "I hate March."
That's about it. That's
Yeah.
about it.
I know. I wanted to do a bracket because Eric invited me, I think, to the one for his podcast after he kicked me off his podcast. And I want to like pick for each conference, each section. I wanted to do it different. Like one section, I want to flip a coin. This section, I want to do like who's got the best uniform, and then one where like what mascot would win in a fight to the death, and just see how I did. But I didn't get
I
around.
actually thought about taking a look at the point spread on every single game and going against the spread. Like I felt like I was going to pick a whole bracket just based on that.
Yeah, the problem is Vegas is pretty smart.
Yeah, but I mean, still, even with that, it's so hard when it comes to March.
You don't see a 3 seed getting booted, but it happens.
Yeah.
And then,
It shouldn't.
but here's the thing: and now people are bitching because, the tournament is not as fun because these like top teams are getting knocked off. I think that's what makes this tournament. I think it's what college.
That is what makes it.
It's what college football is missing.
Yep.
Because it might not happen often, but it will happen, and that just makes that shit so much more fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. I think let's see if I have anything real quick here. Do you guys have anything on your list of fun things to talk about tonight? As I know we're getting close. I think we're like about an hour into this now. I don't know. Gary was so late; it's hard to remember.
Yeah.
No, you're
All right, fair.
you're doing
I can't even say anything.
you were doing the family man thing. Makes you way better than me, so I can't hate on it.
Well, there's very few things in this life that get to come first for me, but the kids are top of the list. All 4 of them top of the list.
That was sweet, and my heart is just riddled with sweetness right now. No,
Man, we just
I know.
talked about you being a douchebag at times.
No, that would Well, and I'm also like the worst parent, definitely out of the 3 of us, but probably in the state of Utah, maybe in the entire west side of the United States of America. Definitely not on the East Coast because I know there's like I have family over there. I know way shittier parents than me, but over here, I'm definitely probably leading in the clubhouse.
I don't know, man. At least you give a damn. Let's just leave it at that.
Oh, so the only thing I had that was non-sports related is obviously this week was the walkout. All the students walked out. Well, there was all the walkouts, I guess, at the schools. But I thought it was funny. Kim sent me one, and I see another one on Facebook, that like some kids were talking about gun control, and the teachers were like shutting them up. Like, oh, we're here for a peaceful protest. You guys can't like be saying that stuff. Well, isn't that the whole point of what they were doing?
Well,
Gary disagrees. I can already tell.
no, I don't know.
Bring the heat, Gary.
I think I don't know how it all is stated, so I don't want to overstate like a rule or a law or anything like that. But I think the only thing that a student can do is a peaceful one.
What? Why?
Which is just a walkout.
Why is it not peaceful if all they're saying is, like, no, because other people were talking. It's not like it was just these kids talking. Other people were talking when they didn't bring up gun control. But the second these kids brought up, well, one way to fix this shit is to like handle our gun control issues. And no matter where you
No, I don't think the kids were outstepping their boundaries or anything like that, but I just think the teachers might even have been protecting them because it's such a hot topic too.
Yeah, but on some level, I could give you that part. But on the flip side, like, Kim and I had this deep conversation that I think like these generation of kids are really going to change the political atmosphere because they're actually getting involved now. Like that shooting was terrible and it sucked dick. And I'm sorry for the language, but it is how I feel about it. But like these kids are like having opinions now and they're actually getting involved in politics. We always talk about like we need more people to actually get out and vote and actually be involved. And I think now as these kids are starting to get involved and see how effed up the system are, in a couple election cycles when they're the ones electing people, you're going to start to see like this swing that I think is going to have a long-term effect on politics as a whole. And I think it's this generation that's finally going to do it. Honestly, I truly believe that. But I think like shutting them up is, I get like you don't want to like having fights and throwing shit and keep it peaceful, but I just don't think like talking about stuff makes it not peaceful. If that's Bonnie, tell her I said hi.
See, I agree.
Yeah, that was. And yeah, the kids all just came back from bowling.
I agree. I think this is going to be the generation that does make the change, but I think it's going to make it worse because a lot of the stuff, not all the kids, but there has been quite a few where like they don't got any facts. Like the stuff that they go off and say, it's like off the wall crap. It's like, I understand you want something done with guns, but they're like, the stuff they say about the Second Amendment, they're not even saying the Second Amendment right. Like it's just like they got their own idea because they want to get their point across. Mainly because a lot of these kids have never been told no or they're wrong for one thing. So they just go with these on-the-wall things. I saw a picture of a girl, one of the students was in Washington holding a sign that said, "Why is your workplace gun-free, but my school isn't?" And it's like, schools are gun-free zones, retard. Maybe you should have stayed in school, and you would have known that. Like, I mean, they go off the wall. Like they want what they want, and they don't care how they get it or whether they're right or wrong. Like, I mean, we could have never done a walkout when we were in school. We'd have been suspended for leaving class. But,
well, so a lot of these students were they were allowed to go do their peaceful protest, but then immediately brought back into the school and were told like, yeah, so you can't do anything like that. That's, you weren't safe. You're not protected by the school at that point. I mean, they could have. I was glad that the schools didn't, but they could have suspended the students for that.
I think
because again, they're all under the age of 18, and this is going to sound worse than it really is meant to. They don't have rights.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not true. So we're going to disagree fundamentally on that. Like they're U.S. citizens, Gary. Just because they can't vote doesn't mean like you don't get your rights with adulthood. That doesn't just show up.
You have basic human rights all through your life.
You have constitutional rights. The Constitution doesn't say like these kick it. I love it that we finally disagree on something because usually I could agree with you, but the Constitution doesn't say, hey, when you're 18, guess what? Now you got your rights matter. Like the Constitution follows you from birth to grave. If you're born here, like I get if you like the people who come here legally or illegally, they got to go through the process to become citizens. But if you're born in this country, that Constitution covers your ass from the day it's like first spanked to we're putting dirt on your face. Like it's
no, I do disagree because the right to bear arms does not apply until you're of legal age to own that firearm.
Does it say that in the Constitution? And I'm asking because I truly don't know.
No, it doesn't. But can a 5-year-old go pick up a gun?
And that's where the law's like. But here's the thing, and that's where the law, right? We have a law says you have to be 18. So you have the Constitution, right? That's saying that
child
you
has
have
free
these rights.
Speech, Matt, they do. But at the same time, you can also you have to control a child to the point and let them know that they are wrong. Most of these kids' opinions are based off social media anyway, and I think we can all agree that's a terrible way to base your opinion.
Yeah, and I like a big part of what you said earlier. I 100% agree with. Like that part, I agree with you. Like and to what you were saying, Kevin, I want to get back to Gary, and I'm not trying to cut you off, and I apologize if you feel that way.
No, you're good.
Kevin, what you were saying, like, I don't think it'll make it worse. I think, yeah, they're saying a lot of ignorant shit right now, right? You're 100% legit because they're young and they're ignorant. But what I'm saying is, for the first time, I know that our generation, and I'm a little older than I think both of you, but I know my generation, your guys' generation, were probably, for the most part, weren't as, like, involved with, like, understanding who the politicians were, what the hell they were really doing, and so forth and so on, where This generation, like, they're just getting started, but they're starting and they're getting involved and they're going to know shit and they're going to get smarter about it. And that's what I'm seeing. I think I'm looking long-term goal here. Like,
there's no guarantee they'll get smarter about it. When you have one way of
Sure.
doing things, you're not going to change. Because if you think you're right and no one tells you, well, you're wrong, I mean, you're not going to change.
and that's, here's the deal. I can't say yes or no to that because that's definitely a possibility. They stay ignorant and they don't. And then, but I guess I think even no matter what they do, I think if they do like one time, like say their first cycle, they just go, okay, shit's not getting done. Like, not even talking about gun control. Like, we can't balance a freaking budget. Like every 8 months, 6 months, it's like the government's shut down because we can't set a freaking budget because we're bitches.
This generation is going to be empowered to change, and they're going to empower themselves, and that is a good thing. But I think that's where we now need to put them in check and make them understand that they've got to do it the right way.
Well, I don't think it's putting them in check. I think it's giving them knowledge. It's feeding them knowledge.
You got to put them in check. No, you got to put Pierce. You have to put them in check.
Well, what do you mean by putting them in
that
check? Like, I don't.
If you're wrong, you're wrong, and you have to be told.
Sure. No. Okay. Yes. Like, but that to me, we're using different words to do the same thing. Like, you're using like the aggressive, like 80s parent. I'm being like the 2018 parent here. Like.
So you're not doing anything?
Yeah. No. I'm
not
just.
All of them. Not all of them, because I just want to say that. But I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
I do think we are saying something along the similar lines, but it's the same premise as these kids feel privileged.
Sure.
Because they're not being held to the standard that at least I think most kids should be held to when it comes to discipline. It's the same thing when it comes to their opinion, how they gather information, what they do with that information. It all is encompassing.
No, I totally get that. I do. That part I'm completely agreed on. I just think like they're let's leave it at this. They have an opportunity right now that the fact that they're getting involved, we have an opportunity to mold them through knowledge and direction, and yes, maybe a little kick in the ass once in a while.
No, Pierce,
but to make real change.
I think we're splitting here. I think you and I are literally talking about the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what I was
it's on us to make sure they go in the right direction, but this generation is going to be self-empowered.
Yeah, and I think it's great because, like, we don't have it. Honestly, and I think a couple of things needs to happen. One is going to be hard from a security standpoint is we need to make it easier to vote. The fact that we vote on, like, a fucking Tuesday is ridiculous. We need to make it, really easy to vote, be able to vote, like, on your cell phone, some kind of electronic, because that's just where the world's going. Also, I think when you're 16, I know no one's going to agree with me here, but I believe like you should be able to vote at a younger age because if you just keep letting the old white people vote, we're not ever going to like be any different than what we are.
Wait, keep letting the old white people vote?
Well, I'm saying like right now it's only mostly that actually show up to vote. And I'm not saying you have the right to vote. I'm saying right now mostly only older white people vote.
Okay, so they're the only ones that go out and do it. So, I mean, how's that? Making it younger ain't going to make it any better. You're just opening it up for more juvenile, not knowledgeable enough people to do it, just so they can go and do it.
More celebrities will be voted in if you allow it to go younger.
Yeah, I don't think going younger is the idea. You got to make people want to go out and vote. I mean, get out there and vote. Just because old white people feel like, they're doing their duty, it's not their fault.
No, they're not doing their duty. They want to keep
I think it's the government's fault. The government isn't. The old white people are running the country, so those are the ones interested in what's happening.
Yeah.
It's on our government. Like, if we all really want change, then it's on us to get everybody involved. The people who are voting are the ones who are running it. That's the problem.
Here's the thing, like, in my opinion, and this will never happen, I think you should if you're going to be here, you should have to vote. You should have to participate. And we wouldn't be the first country to do that. Dozens of countries, it is required by law to participate in the voting process. Or you're fined usually in a lot of those countries. But also, Kevin, what you're saying, like, okay, and I could agree, like, we could argue the whole age thing, so let's just say we're on different sides there. But I was more into, like, let's make it easier. Like, if you could
up the voting process, not make it for younger people to do it.
Why can't I vote on my phone? Like,
I can wrap my head around that.
Like, why can't I and why isn't voting on, like, a Saturday when most people don't work?
Because Saturday you're not going to want to go.
I don't want to go on a Tuesday when I got to take off work.
I mean, all the polls are open later, unless you're working like a 12-hour shift. I mean, but
in
No,
this,
he's not entirely wrong. I mean, the last couple of times it's been very, very different. Like I would have had to have used a vacation day to go.
and
to
there's
go
not
vote.
and there's not a ton of polling spots. Like when Kim and I went this last time, we ended up because we were basically voting, our votes are going to cancel each other out. It was going to be like a 3.5 hour wait to vote because there was only one place in the whole area of Tooele that had two places that had polls, and the one we went to, it was like wrapped around the school. Almost, it was ridiculous. So
I did the mail-in vote this year. I think that was pretty awesome.
yeah, and that's a good option. But why not on the world moves so fast? And I get you, the security would be tough, but why not on my phone? Why can't I just go, oh fuck, it's vote day?
Well,
The phone would be too difficult at first.
At first,
Yeah.
you're going to have at first everything's going to have issues, right? But you have to work through those things.
they're complaining that the Russians hacked the last election, so now you're going to put it on a cell phone? Like, I understand your idea behind it. I do, and I think that'd be awesome. But I mean, I just don't see how you can make it secure.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. So right now, your signature is by your IP, and there's people who are changing the mapping on that. I agree. If I could vote on my phone, I would do it every single time, but they just have to make that foolproof. And I'm not saying it's impossible. They would just have to be foolproof so that one person gets one vote.
Yeah, it wouldn't be easy. I get that, and there's a lot of potential problems. I just think I do think you should have to vote, and I think if you do
I wouldn't be upset if they made that a law. That would not upset me.
because I think even if that's the only thing you did was just make it so people have to vote, right? It just is required. If you're an American, you have to show up and vote. That alone, I think, would switch the balance of power, because a lot more poor. That's terrible English. A lot more poor.
minorities.
Yeah, a lot more of the minorities and the disadvantaged people are going to
Middle
go out
class.
and vote. And guess what? Then shit that's going to affect them positively is going to start happening, because these people who are in these power classes, who don't give a shit about poor people, are going to get boosted for new people. And what happens is, if it starts happening, is what should happen. If shit doesn't get done, you get voted out instead of staying in because
I mean, I think we have another problem too, Pierce. It's just the games that are being played in the government. People get disinterested because at a certain point you're just like, well, everybody's dishonest. So you got to get that first initial wave of people back in, and then I think it just starts to happen in waves.
Yeah. No, I get you. All right, guys. Did you guys have anything else? Gary, did you have anything today?
No, man.
No,
Kevin?
I'm good. No, I'm good.
I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Did you have fun while you were here?
Yeah.
How about your mics? You like those? Is working for you?
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like it. It
Good.
works.
Well, guys, I will see you next Friday. Don't hesitate to send me some ideas, or I'll come unprepared probably again. Like I told Kevin before the show, I'm either like last week where I'm 3 pages deep in like 6 or 7 topics, or I just wing this shit. And I'm not sure which way is better yet, but it seems
I
like
think the viewers at home should know that the entire show was just off the cuff. We just winged it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. That's not necessarily a bad idea sometimes, but other times I get lost in shit easy. So, anyways, you guys, I will see you guys next week.
Great debate, guys.
Yeah, good talk. We'll get into some more stuff next week. Kim says that you both might get axed. She's going to review the tape and give her opinions. She is the producer of the show. You guys have a good night, all right?
All right.
You too.
Night,
Bye, guys.
everybody.
Take it easy. If I get the button. All right, guys, that was Pearson Mind Podcast episode something or another. We'll get that into you. Look for this to go up later tonight on iTunes and Google Play. And until next time, we will see you guys later. Take care.